What a superstar, Profiteer, winning the Inglis Millennium in a romp. Charlotte in through the middle. Sir Jardin went home best to win the Golden Gift. That Big Parade too good. Big Parade won the Sydney Stakes.
Super Wealthy on the far side. Skyfield dashing at them late. Super Wealthy for the National Day Cup.
Here he comes. Classic Legend storms to the front and kicked away. The grey flash is now an Everest legend. At Castelvecchio heading top gear. And Castelvecchio charges away now the Champagne. Shadow Hero after Battenberg. Shadow Hero takes the lead and it's a favourite's victory.
Pippi needs the line, but she's going to get it. Pippi won the Oakley Plate. It's Hot King Prawn in front. He's now a Group 1 prawn.
Fallon declares bonnet for Australia.
In her time, Osmondall's driving. In her time, a little bit.
Summoned out course of the Boilover. Leads all the way on the wing stakes.
Extra Brook, he's brave, he's strong, he wins the Derby.
The filly Maid of Heaven goes to a Romeo and got up.
Magnificent. Hillbit wins the William Reid.
Sweet Deal lays it down as goes home best in the Tab Hunter. But Ice Boss come from last and she wins the invitation. Fiesta the outside goes home best though. And Fiesta wins the English sprint. Rubasaki in one fell swoop put pay to them. What a performance.
Swazier coming home to win the King's Stand. What a famous victory.
Brayton Bowbite, 3 lengths to Chautauqua. Terra Vista's run third. Extreme Choice, a 3-year-old flies home. Extreme Choice got up to win.
Magnificent. Hillbit wins the William Reid.
Castelvecchio charges to the lead and he wins the Rosehill Guineas.
Hello and welcome to our 2022 Inglis Classic Yearling Preview webinar in the next half hour. I hope you learn a lot more about this wonderful sale and what we can expect this year out at Riverside at Warwick Farm in Sydney. I'm Caroline Searcy from Bred to Win, and I've really enjoyed watching the Inglis Classic sale mature into one of Australia's formerly best value, which it still is, and now just simply one of Australasia's best yearling sales. You only need to hear the recent honour roll of esteemed graduates, names such as Classic Legend. We see Sir Jardin this week, who's aiming to become the 4th straight Inglis Classic graduate to win the now $2 million Inglis Millennium on Saturday, after Castelvecchio, who was bought for $150,000, Prime Star, $55,000, and Profiteer, who was bought for $165,000. We've seen so many other fantastic graduates from the Classic sale over the year we'll discuss in the next little while. It's been a big week for Inglis, announcing the pink bonus, encouraging more women into racehorse ownership. We'll also discuss that in the next half hour. But first of all, I welcome in Chris Russell, or Rusty, the Bloodstock manager in New South Wales for Inglis, and also, of course, one of their great auctioneers. Rusty, it's been a warm week, the start to the week out there at Riverside, but how have the inspections been going from your point of view?
Yeah, so I suppose, nearly the first official day today. There was binary started off showing yesterday, but it's been very busy on the complex today. Really hot, very hot day, but luckily a cool change is coming overnight. But the vendors are very happy already, been very busy. Been run off their feet, so it's good signs early in the week.
Plenty of people have been out there for the last few days, that's for sure. And also joining us on the webinar this evening is Jim Clarke from Jim Clarke Bloodstock. Welcome to you, Jim. And it has been pretty warm, as I said. What's the feeling around the sales ground from a buyer's point of view? There's lots of competition out there, isn't there?
Yeah, look, it's going to be a great sale. Fortunately, I've seen quite a number of the horses already, and there's a lot of quality and a lot of depth to the catalogue. It's going to be strong competition in the ring, but that's been the case with horse sales all over the country and all over the world for the past few years. So looking forward to the week ahead.
Our final guest is Jamie Walter from the extremely successful Proven Thoroughbreds syndication company. Jamie, firstly, congratulations on your Group 1 Epsom Mile winner in Private Eye. He wasn't bought through this sale, I know, but you know what they say, when you win a Group 1, your first Group 1, the rest follows. So I'm sure you're out there looking for another Group 1 winner at the Classic sale this week.
Absolutely, Caroline. And I do hope that old adage rings true, because we could handle another one. You could get used to Group 1s pretty quickly.
I'm sure.
No, we're certainly looking hard this week.
Indeed. And Rusty, as I mentioned in the intro, Classic's really seen a remarkable rise in graduate success, especially the past few seasons. And it really is Australasia's really best value sale to this day, and also elite sale.
Yeah, correct. I mean, you probably hit the nail on the head in the opener. It was always known as the value sale. It's probably outgrown that a bit now. It's still great value, but the quality of graduates coming out of the sale has just been outstanding. In terms of value, there's been 10 Group 1 winners out of the sale since 2018, of which 8 could have been bought for 100,000 or less. So that's probably as good a stat as any to show the quality and the good value that comes out of the sale. Horses like Hot King Prawn, In Her Time, Vow and Declare the Cup winner. Certainly good value to be had through the sale, and even a bit of side power coming out of the sale in recent years. Of course, I'm Invincible and Extreme Choice, who are two of the highest profile stallions in the country, both classic graduates, as is horses like, Hellbent and Castelvecchio, two new kids on the block, and, the old stage, he was a classic graduate. So, it's been a great sale at all levels and will continue to be so.
Absolutely. And Jim, you've been buying with Bjorn Baker and for other clients. What are your thoughts sort of on the evolution of Classic, both the quality of the yearlings on offer and their racetrack successes?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working sort of with and for Bjorn for a long time now, and even going back to his early days, I think he quinelled the Inglis nursery in his second year with Fuaza and Twilight Royale, both at their first starts, and they're both sort of 40 grand yearlings. Look, it's always been a very good hunting ground, not only for Bjorn but also for myself in recent years, setting up as my own independent agent. We've had a lot of luck out of this sale, and it's a sale we usually go pretty hard at and target horses at, because as we've sort of alluded to, there's always a lot of depth of the catalogue. Buy a horse, you always like to think it's good value, but it's usually a couple of years before you find out. But you can certainly buy horses. The sale average is lower than some of the other sales in the country. So for people looking at a lower entry point to buy into, this is often the place that we try and source those horses for people.
Jamie, you've obviously been, buying from the Inglis Classic sale for a number of years. And what have you been sort of your experiences, I guess, from a proven thoroughbreds perspective, from a syndicator's perspective?
Well, I think this classic sale epitomises that you don't need to pay a lot of money to find a good horse, as if we didn't already know that. For me personally, I bought my first ever horse at the classic sale, or as it was known then, the summer sale, way, way back in the previous century. And I paid $900 for it. And it won 7 races, including 3 in town. So I thought I was pretty clever. About 20 slow ones later, I came to realise there's a little bit more to it than having a few champagnes under the old tree at the Inglis complex. But look, it's great value. I think a turning point for the classic sale was 2018, when for many years it had been a sort of 500 or 600 yearling catalogue. It went up to 800. And all of a sudden, with that volume, you had greater depth, greater quality, which gave you more opportunity to identify value. Since then, I think 2019, Rusty, it went to 1,000, but it seems to have now settled back around that 800 figure. And as a syndicator, I love big catalogues for the simple reason they can't all. And if you do your homework, you'll identify value.
Very interesting. I think, Rusty, a lot of people would be very interested to know that the 2022 Inglis Classic, it really is your responsibility. You can compile the catalogue, and the quality, as we've said, it really has improved year in, year out. What's your definition of what a classic yearling actually is in 2022? Is it much different to what it's been in the past?
Not really, Caroline. I mean, I suppose the one underlying characteristic for a good classic yearling is type. I mean, we know buyers very much like to buy good types, but I think Classic's shown that you can be a really good type. Pedigree doesn't have to be at the forefront, but a real athletic sort of horse, you come and they're very popular with the buyers. So, I mean, through our graduates, we've won derbies right through to Everest, but you got to be a good type. I think pedigree certainly helps, but a good athletic sort of horse, that's what we try to bring to Classic.
And it's a versatile sale, isn't it, Jim? I mean, we've seen, as Rusty mentioned, Melbourne Cup or Golden Slipper Derby winners that have come through the Classic sale. What sort of horse do you like to look for at Classic?
I think that's one of the best things about this sale. There's something for everyone, from the guys wanting to buy a horse to take the country and race, to people looking to pinhook for 2-year-old sales. People prospecting for stallions. Some of the big Colts funds buy a lot of horses out of Classic and have done very well with them. Syndicators are very active in the market, and so are trainers. So it's as Jamie alluded to, there's a lot of depth to the catalogue. There's something for everyone. I guess my job is varying depending on the client. For the trainers that I work for, they really need a broad spectrum of fillies, colts, early horses, 3-year-old staying types, and this is a really good place to get them. I think the Kiwi horses have added another dimension. We've had pretty good representation from some of the New Zealand vendors that would have typically only sold at Clarke in the past, and they've added more in the sort of middle distance ranks this sale the past few years. So I think that's a welcome addition too.
Jamie, and again, from a syndicated point of view, what do you like to buy at Classic? I mean, it's not all about necessarily the 2-year-olds. You buy great 3-year-olds, great horses that mature and go on with the job and win a Melbourne Cup, for instance. Is there anything specific, or you just look at the type and think, I can make that work with what I'm buying for my clients?
Yeah, well, I guess it relates pretty much to who you're buying for. I always like to buy in tandem with our trainers. And Joe Pride is our trainer in Sydney, and he always joins us on our little Classic search. And we've had a lot of luck with Joe paying not much money. Horses like Brook Magic was a purchase through there. Kylese was another Classic purchase for 60,000, I think. I think if you're looking to sort of define the typical classic horse, it's one that, for whatever reason, be it pedigree or a slight conformational fault, you're not paying the mega bucks. But as the statistics glowingly reveal, it doesn't stop them winning big races.
Absolutely. And Jim, I guess that gets back, it does get back to budget as well for this sale. I mean, we've seen some really high prices reached, but it's great. You can say to a client, we can pick up a top class horse for under 200,000. And of course, in fact, under 100,000. We've seen Group 1 winners, Hot King Prawn in her time, Vow and Declare, Pippi, Samadoud, and plenty more selling for under 100,000.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the idea that if you're on the ground, you do the hard work and you look at as many horses as you possibly can. I think a lot of people surprise themselves with their finalists out of this sale because, horses they might not always consider as the most fashionable pedigree, they might find is an outstanding type and be prepared to go out on a limb, take a risk and buy a horse like that. And as you say, the results in that sort of sub 100 or even 100 to 200 category, there's always very, very good horses coming out of it. I bought a horse last year by Written Tycoon for, I think he was 180,000, which is not much more than the stallion service fee, and he's a promising horse that's trialled very well. So there is something, I think, for everyone, and I think it's a matter of making sure you've done all your due diligence. There's a lot of long days on the pavement out there looking at them and making sure that you've got your T's crossed and your I's dotted. But once you've done all that work, if you're patient, there's 800 horses and there's plenty that you feel slip through the cracks.
And Rusty, of course, you can buy the middle distance to staying horse, but it is a great sale for 2-year-olds, Extreme Choice, Castelvecchio, She Will Reign, Profiteer, plenty more. Of course, as I mentioned, Gary Portelli's a gorgeous colt, Sajardin going for the Millennium on Saturday could add to that. And it really is something, I guess, that in a way you must target to a degree, given the passion and the desire for 2-year-olds and horses that get up and go early for a lot of the buyers. You must really look at that when you're putting the catalogue together.
Oh, for sure, Caroline. I mean, we know how obsessed Australia is with speed. I suppose the timing of Classic being early February probably dictates to a certain extent which horses are going to be early enough for the catalogue as well. So it probably becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. But yeah, I mean, it's just if those forward horses like they're going to be ready to go at this sale, and the results on the racetrack born out of it probably prove that.
Jim and Jamie, is this a sort of a sale that you would look at 2-year-olds in particular?
Not necessarily. I know that the rewards are immense for early 2-year-olds, but it also comes at a cost. You know, you give time to a slower developing horse purchased at the Classic can reward you later. Our little mare Snippy Fox, I think she won at Randwick and Canterbury, a couple of in the last month or two. She's $35,000 here. And I think if you get that sort of horse, she had a conformational problem in the leg, clearly needed time. If she'd been pushed early, she may not have stood up. And the owners were patient, and fortunately they're now being rewarded.
Yes, that's the same, Jim. I know Bjorn in particular has had success with the 2-year-olds and sort of the longer distance sort of horses as well. Are you looking for 2-year-olds in particular, or sort of the wide cream of whatever?
Yeah, the 2-year-old element is certainly important to us, and I guess Björn's approach is always to give them a chance if they've got the pedigree and physique to be up and running early. But I think if you go back through his results, especially in the past few years, some of his better results are with horses 3, 4, 5 that have been given time. I wouldn't say he's overly conservative, but I guess one of his biggest assets is he's make sure he gives every horse every opportunity. And I think if you do put too much pressure on them early, you can come unstuck. But at the same time, the catalogue is weighted towards horses that are legitimate chances of being back here for English Millenniums and hopefully Golden Slippers as well. So always have the thing in the back of our mind. But it's not the be-all and end-all by any means.
How much, Rusty, do you think that the Millennium really weighs into this when people are buying? I mean, you still have a lot of people that want to buy the middle distance sort of horse, but it must be a huge carrot for a lot of buyers.
Yeah, certainly a lot of temptation there. I think outside the Slipper, it's the most expensive 2-year-old race in the world. So certainly, as Jim said, if a lot of trainers will give their horse to step up the mark, and if they keep going forward, then it's a big carrot in front of them to not have a crack at. So yeah, it certainly would be a goal for most people that buy out of the sale, but yeah, showing a bit of patience can certainly pay off too down the line.
Well, obviously, it's a really exciting time with so many first season sires, 20, in fact, this season being represented at the Inglis Classic Sale. I mean, we're looking at Arrowfield's champion colt, the Autumn Sun. He was a star of his generation, the Widden Stud Sprinters trapeze artist, and written by International's Justify. Of course, there's that red Ferrari up for grabs. If you can be the first to win one of the select group or the select 2 or 3-year-old races that Cormor have said they'll offer that Ferrari for, others brave. Accomplished older sprinter, prized icon, a Group 1 winner at 2, and a Derby winner from Kooringal Stud. It's just absolutely mouthwatering, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, well, first season sires, we talk about the Classic Sale representing value, and yes, some first season sires have a bit of a boom on them, perhaps unnecessarily, but most you're not paying as much as you are for the proven sire. So if you've got faith in a first season sire, then why not have a swing and go hard early and you might jag a top class sire. And the class of 2022, as you just outlined, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Trapeze Artist and the Autumn Sun were 2 of the best horses we've seen in Australia in recent years, and to have their first crops on the ground in the same year makes the whole sort of first season concept pretty appealing, and both have sold very well to date this year, and I can't see that trend altering this week.
From racetrack performance, they're real standouts as well, obviously. But do you have specific horses? Those 2, obviously, you're impressed by, but of the others that you're impressed by as well?
To a degree. I mean, I try to be as fair as possible and take the view that they're all a chance until they fail, because I've been so wrong about picking stallions in the past. I've put a line through stallions that have
not easy.
come back to belt me. So I now sort of try and take the view that if it's a nice horse and it's by a totally unproven, why not? Because as we've seen in the past, the most unlikely horses can become champion sires. Indeed, the 2 leading sires in the country at the moment, neither won a Group 1.
That's right.
And yet we all hang on a Group 1 as the future for any budding stallion.
Yeah, it's pretty even, isn't it, Jim? I mean, if you're talking about the Written Tycoon, I Am Invincible, they've come through without those Group 1 successes to be absolutely fantastic stallions. Who do you like out of this incredible bunch for 2022 of the first season sires?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there with very strong credentials. The one that I've been most impressed by probably is Physical Types, as written by him. I bought 2 at the Gold Coast, but I've seen a number in Wynn's draft and other drafts here that impressed me. I think, he's from a sire line that, is already proven, capitalist going on as a son of Written Tycoon and doing a good job. And I think he's a real cookie cutter of his father, and his progeny are the same. So he's probably the one physically that's impressed me a lot. Harry Angel, I've got a bit of a soft spot for. I worked for Godolphin when he was racing in the UK and was involved in his purchase after he won the Mill Reef. He went on to be a champion sprinter, and he was elite. So they're probably the 2. They're both fast speed horses. But yeah, I certainly don't disagree. Horses like the Autumn Sun, he was an out and out champion. There's a bit more stamina in his pedigree than most. So for horses that might need a little bit of time, he could be the one too.
Yeah, indeed. And Rusty, you've done so many inspections as part of compiling the classic catalogue. And I know you have to be fair and you have to be even, but you must have some particular first season sires that you're really enamoured by.
Yeah, I'll echo Jim's sentiment towards Harry Angel. I saw a very nice one on farm at Thoroughbreds last week when we were on the farm doing the Classic Yearlings. I saw a very nice one at Sledmere this morning as well. Look, but outside of those top 4, I saw a nice prized icon earlier. So as Jamie said, they're all capable of throwing a very good sort, and you've got to give them all a chance until they show otherwise.
Indeed. And Jamie, I guess the proven stallions we see in this catalogue again, you always have the elite stallions, whether it be fast, Invincible, Nakoni, he can get great value horses that are just so tough and fast, More Than Ready, So You Think, Written Tycoon, Zoostar, just so many proven stallions. Do you have specific ones you tend to go back to that you've bought well, horses by those stallions, or do you just take them all on, have a look at the type? Do you go through your catalogue first and sort of mark out specific horses, or do you look at every horse?
Well, I'm pretty superstitious, like everyone else in racing. You gravitate to where you have luck, and then you rear away from where you have no luck. But I think, with any sort of yearling catalogue, you want to start with a blank canvas. You can, put a line through certain areas in which you've had no previous good fortune. But in answer to your first question, I think we all, gravitate back to where we've been successful in the past, because from a syndicator's perspective, not only am I trying to select a runner, but I'm trying to select a horse that I can market to my clientele. And if previous owners have had a bit of joy with a certain sire line or family, they're going to be more receptive from a buying perspective to buy something along those lines than something completely different.
And Jim, I guess you'd have certain stallions you particularly like. Do you think, it's easier maybe to get some of those stallions, the elite stallions, by offspring, buy them at Inglis Classic rather than obviously Easter and even Melbourne Premier? I guess there are a lot of Victorian stallions that might sell better there and be targeted there. Is it easier to buy some of these elite stallions at Classic?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I think they're hard to buy those really good proven stallions no matter what sale you're at. I guess it's dependent on where you're willing to compromise. Are you willing to compromise on, minor conformation faults? Are you willing to compromise slightly on pedigree? If you are willing to do those 2 things, then you can definitely find value in those proven stallions as well. I guess everyone's got a different way of looking at yearlings and things that they like and things that they like to avoid. I'm fairly strict on conformation, so I still probably emphasise type as much as anything as well. So I wouldn't say I've found it really easy to buy stock by proven stallions anywhere, but I guess by the same token, if you can get a bit of value, then Classic's often the place.
And Rusty, from the yearlings you've seen by these proven stallions, are there some that really stand out, or are there particular stallions you think? Obviously, we can see the top prices going through the roof at this sale as well. Are there some specific, whether it be lots or stallions you've seen, XYZ has 5 or 6 really good yearlings?
Oh, it's good to see a couple of nice extreme choices in the catalogue. Obviously, he's got a very small crop, and Bell River, who bred Extreme Choice, are back with a couple of extreme choices. And there's one colt there who's a particularly nice horse and should be very popular. Capitalists as well. Newgate's obviously got quite a lot of capitalists in their drafts, some very nice horses there. So they're sort of, spread right through the sale. I think the one great thing about Classic, it's always received good support from the bigger farms, but where it sort of really thrived is the support of all the farms that bring all their sale. You think your farms like Carramar Park, Fairview, Coringal, Golden Grove, it's the one sale that they target. They bring their best product to the sale, and you find some very nice horses in those drafts.
Jamie, I guess it's a very sort of fickle industry, isn't it? And you to a degree you have your blank canvas, but you need to be guided, I guess, by what your clients will actually want to pay money to buy into. How much does that dictate what you buy, about what stallions are sort of in fashion or in vogue at a present time?
Well, I think there are 5 reasons why you buy a horse. Obviously, pedigree, type, the farm from where it's reared, a veterinary sort of view of what's an acceptable X-ray risk or conformational risk, or something you shouldn't risk. And the 5th one, of course, is price. And for a lot of the catalogue, I'd be happy to take them home. But price is my dominating feature of whether I actually them or not. So ultimately, all horses value in the market, and whether I as one individual buyer is going to buy them or not, I, like most people, put price parameters on those horses, and if they exceed those parameters, it's bye horse. Mm-hmm. And if it's under them, I think I'm pretty clever.
That's it. Exactly. Beat the others off with a stick, that's for sure. And Jim, you went on the Inglis Classic inspections with the whole Inglis team. And as Jamie mentioned, the vendors are so important, aren't they? Did you see any particular drafts that stood out overall to you? If you want to mention a couple without picking favourites in particular to upset anyone, but there must be some vendors you particularly like to see their drafts year after year.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this sale that there's a huge diversity in who offers horses here, as Rusty alluded to. Carramar Park, Fairview, those farms that bring all of their horses to this sale. It's your only opportunity to buy a horse off those farms, and they've been very successful breeders. So that's always a highlight. In terms of our trip to the Hunter Valley, some of the smaller farms, I thought Golden Grove had a very nice draft of horses. I'd never been to that property before, so I was very impressed with them. And Ridgemont Farm, who offer their first draft of yearlings at this sale, I think they've done an outstanding job. They've got some very nice horses, both horses homebred by the owners of the farm, but also some horses on behalf of clients. So they're very excited to be offering their first draft. I think they've got a lot of quality and a lot of depth to it, and wish them the best of luck. So those two probably stood out to me of the smaller farms. But yeah, I mean the Arrowfields and the Newgates and the Coolmores and the Widdens, they've always got big numbers. They've got big numbers to every sale, and there's a lot of depth to their drafts as well.
And Rusty, it is a hard thing, isn't it? I guess all the farms want to get their horses into certain sales, particularly now this Classic sale, the way it's grown and the success that comes from it, and the buyers that are here for it. How do you juggle that? I mean, for people that don't really understand how it works, you have to go out and actually really say yes and no to the horses in the catalogue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on our Bloodstock team, there's about 10 people, and we'll go groups of 2 or 3 to look at all the yearlings. Between the team, we'll probably look at around 5,000 yearlings. For the Classic sale, we'll get upwards of 2,300 entries, for an 800 horse catalogue. So it does take a bit of whittling down. We like to get a good balance in the book, the right stallions, the right amount by the right stallions, but at the same time, a lot of diversity in the sale, which, we've got over 100 size represented in the catalogue. So something for everyone. It does take a bit of work, but, we work closely with the vendors and try and place the yearlings where we think they're going to sell best for them. And, great, what 810, but a few sleepless nights on the way through.
Indeed. And of course, the exciting, the pink bonus. Now, tell us about that. This is fantastic. And it's not going to be all women ownership. And it is only the first past the post with the certain percentage of women owners. I think 75%, I think it is, that actually get that bonus. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's $1 million in bonuses spread across 4 races. Horses that are owned 75% by women owners. So again, it's a concept that's been tried before and it's worked very well. Very inclusive. So $1 million worth of bonuses. There's a $400,000 bonus for the Inglis Millennium, and then 3 $200,000 bonuses for the Banner, the Nursery, and the 3-year-old Sprint. So yeah, for 75 horses that are registered, 75% women ownership, certainly some big bucks to run for.
And Jamie, I mean, you've been you have a lot of experience. You've seen a lot of the things that the sales companies can do to really grow participation in racing. And I guess this is just another one that really, it's just an extra little string to your bow, I guess, as a syndicator trying to get people and women to pitch in and, have that percentage in a horse.
Anything that attracts new owners to the game, incentivises them, has to be applauded. So this latest initiative, great idea. It's not necessarily an original idea, but it's a great innovation, which I think will be very handy. And I like the 75% component, Rusty, because I think it's nice to involve both sides of the household.
Yep.
And I think that's a really good idea. Really good idea.
Yeah, and Jim, I guess for you with your owners as well, it's really great. Just another thing, as well as all the prize money with all the Inglis bonus series.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something unique and something different. It's something that a lot of the clients that I buy for get behind as well. And I think as Jamie said, it's about including as many people as possible. So clients of mine that own a number of horses, we bought a couple of ladies' horses in the past, and they've got all their sisters and daughters and nieces and all join the ownership. So yeah, it can be a lot of fun, especially if you get it right. I haven't been able to do that yet, but hopefully I can do it with an Inglis grade.
Hopefully with the pink bonus you can manage to do so. And Rusty,
exactly.
just sort of finally, how would you sum up this catalogue if you were sort of comparing to previous, looking at the sire power and the depth of pedigrees or the types you've seen? How do you see this one going?
As Jamie said, from 2018 we got a bigger catalogue, and the first sale at Riverside, it sort of the sale was chugging along well, but that really gave it a push in the right direction. I think the big farms now take it very seriously, bring very nice horses. They know, we had 600,000 plus last year. So it is a sale which, probably was the little engine that could once upon a time, but now it's really going well. We've great support from the right people and a lot of depth top to bottom. You're going to get your $500,000 horses, but you can come here and buy a nice horse for 20, 30, 40 grand to, for the country and provincial trainers and take on the tab highways and all that sort of thing. And we've spoke about the value out of the sale, and it is very proud of the catalogue we've put together here as a team from top to bottom. And, hopefully the sale comes Sunday and into the future, there'll be a lot of good success stories to come out of it.
Jamie, how do you see it overall? I mean, we're sort of, COVID's still there. It's obviously still a bit of an issue, but we can all get to the sales ground. We can all get around, sort of being COVID safe, etc. So, there's I think there'll be a big buying bench come Sunday.
Sadly, yes.
Yes.
From a buying perspective, I think the market will be as strong as 10 men.
Yes.
As it's been roaring along in the last few years in Sydney, in Australia, indeed around the world. So I can't see that altering at all in the sale.
Jim, how's your shortlist looking? How are you looking for the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
Well, I've still got a lot of work left to do. I find it. I mean, I don't knock too many horses off, but that's not true. Actually, I probably tend to look at about 30% of a sales catalogue twice. So if you look at 150 horses a day, it's a get through them, and then you need a few days to get through the second look. So it's under the pump well and truly from about 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. But I'm sure by Saturday night we'll have a good list together. It's going to be a strong sale, and rightly so. I mean, we're racing for the best prize money in the world here. We've got a very vibrant industry. I'm fortunate to have worked in other parts of the world, and there's nothing like Australian racing at the moment. So it is tough when you're on the buying side like Jamie and I are, but if you get it right, the rewards are there in spades. So, yeah, looking forward to next week.
Well said. All right. Thanks very much, Chris Russell, Jamie Walter, and Jim Clarke. Thanks for joining us on the webinar.
Thanks, Caroline.
Pleasure, Caroline.
Thanks, Caroline.
Look forward to seeing you all, hopefully, out at Inglis Classic Sale, Riverside, Warwick Farm in Sydney from this Sunday. If you can't join us, make sure you watch Inglis Sale Day live, where I'll be joined by Caitlin Mallion for the full coverage right throughout the 3 days of selling. Look forward to seeing you then.
What a superstar profiteer, winning the English Millennium in a romp. Charlotte in through the middle. Sir Jordan went home best to win the Golden Gift. That Big Parade too good. Big Parade won the Sydney Stakes.
Super Wealthy on the far side. Skyfield dashing at them late. Super Wealthy for the National Day Cup.
Here he comes. Classic Legend storms to the front and kicked away. The grey flash is now an Everest legend. At Castelvecchio heading top gear. And Castelvecchio charges away now the Champagne. Shadow Hero after Battenberg. Shadow Hero takes the lead and it's a favourite victory.
Pippi needs the line, but she's going to get it. Pippi won the Oakley Plate. It's Hot King Prawn in front. He's now a Group 1 prawn. Fowler declares bonnet for Australia. In her time, Osmondall's driving. In her time, a little bit.
Summit out course of the boilover. Leads all the way on the wing stakes.
Extra Brook, he's brave, he's strong, he wins the derby.
The filly Maid of Heaven goes to Romeo and got up.
Magnificent. Hillbit wins the William Reid.
Sweet Deal lays it down as goes home best in the Tab Hunter. But Ice Bass come from last and she wins the invitation. Fiesta the outside goes home best though. And Fiesta wins the English sprint. Rubasaki in one fell swoop put pay to them. What a performance.
Swazier coming home to win the King's Stand. What a famous victory.
Brayton Bowbite, 3 lengths to Chautauqua. Terra Vista's run third. Extreme Choice, the 3-year-old flies home. Extreme Choice got up to win.
Magnificent. Hillbit wins the William Reid.
Castelvecchio charges to the lead and he wins the Rosehill Guineas.